Welcome to our Family First Life family. Thank you so much for being here today to join me for our first Virtual Sales Made Easy segment. My name is Linda Lampasso. I'm with VP with Peak Finance out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, part of National overall. And I'm super excited to be here with you guys to share my journey so far on the virtual platform. I started back in July, shortly after COVID kicked in. And for me, it really wasn't about COVID. Unfortunately, my husband, super healthy 49-year-old, had a stroke. And all of a sudden, our life had changed. I went from having an equal partner who could share in household responsibilities to being completely on my own, having to, get our daughter back and forth to school and appointments, and still having to juggle being in the field and trying to run a team and manage a team and answer agent questions. And I had to get creative. And really the way I see it, COVID was an opening for that, because so many people were more receptive to going to the virtual platform, because here we are having, doctor's appointments and therapy appointments and things like that that had to be shifted to a virtual platform. So it was really an easy transition in that sense for me. But it really had nothing to do with the fact that there was this pandemic, going on in the world. So for me, that's where it started. I've been doing it, ever since. The first month that I really went hardcore with this was in August, a month after Harold had the stroke. I had gone down to get our son settled in Hawaii. And again, life doesn't stop. Kids count on you. Things have to go on. We just have to learn how to adapt. So in August, I was in Hawaii, on lockdown. We couldn't leave for 2 weeks. And I took that time to say, can I really do this? It wasn't an all or nothing transition. I had started dabbling with it a little bit before. And in August, it was 100%. And so in that 2 weeks, I was able to write $25,000 of simplified issue business. So there is success out there. And one thing I'd like to say too about Family First Life is we don't roll anything out unless we know it works. So, this idea of maybe not having the virtual seller platform before, and why wasn't it there before? Well, we have to have enough people who are having success so that we can say this is part of our system and this works, guys. We're not going to put something out to you and watch our agents flounder. We need to perfect it and make sure that it's teachable, that it's, duplicatable, that everybody can do that. So what I would recommend when you're getting started with this, if it's something that you want to move towards, is more of a hybrid approach. We don't want you to stop doing what works. So if you're having success going in home, continue to do that. The hybrid scenario just allows you to take maybe a day or two a week to try to test the success that you're going to have with a virtual platform. It's not for everybody. And it's certainly not something that we want you to just jump into and forget everything else that you're doing, that you're having success with. So I can't emphasize that enough. Even for me, it was a gradual transition in the beginning. I would go in appointments. I would, offer, virtual. I would offer in person, and I would kind of let the flavor of the day dictate, was I going to go in home or was I going to go virtual? And little by little, as I saw the success I was having with virtual, it really, for me now, there is no choice. Everything I do is still virtual. But for you guys getting started, again, I don't want there to be this illusion that it's a super easy thing to do and we're just going to jump right in and we're all going to have the same level of success. So make sure that you're mixing that up appropriately and you're not going, all Zoom right off the bat when you're first getting started. Second thing I want to talk about in having success with virtual sales, and again, just simplifying this process, is basically, leads, right? What kind of leads can we do with virtual sales? In my opinion, any lead will work. Mortgage protection, final expense, aged mortgage protection, instant internet leads. What I would recommend is getting in the system in your area. Check the CRM. What's available? Age mortgage protection, age final expense. you're trying something new. It's an innovation. So all the leads are going to work if you have enough leads. So if you're working mortgage protection, maybe you can get away with 75 a week. If you're working final expense, maybe you need to get 150 of those. Instant internet, same drill. Certain lead types, you're going to need more of that lead, but all leads work if you work them. It's no different than if we're going in the field, right, versus virtual. So again, my idea of simplifying this process for everybody is for you to know that it's not a whole lot different. We don't have to reinvent the wheel of every aspect that we do in this business. The next thing we want to talk about is script, right? Is the script really any different with a virtual sale versus an in-person sale? No. For me, my script is identical. I don't change it. The only thing that changes is an offering of either an in-person visit or a virtual platform of some kind. Something else I want to point out is we're hearing a lot about Zoom sales, Zoom sales, Zoom sales. In reality, guys, for me, I'd say 30% of my appointments virtually are on Zoom. So you have to be prepared to transition into different platforms. So FaceTime, Google Duo, Messenger, right? WhatsApp. Those are just a few of the other platforms. The goal here is just getting in front of that person, right? Just like when we go in the door in person, we just need to get in front of them. It's no different with virtual sales. So don't get tripped up on, they don't know how to do Zoom. Most people these days, even, older people, and I get this question a lot, we can't do Zoom. I was just here at the office and an agent called in and we suggested doing a Zoom appointment because he was sick. And the agent said, well, they were born in 1944. What does that mean? Most of these people are proficient in virtual platforms because they've had to learn to be through the pandemic. Most of the clients I work with are over age 60 into their mid 70s. Okay, so don't assume that somebody does not know how to do virtual. You can treat them all the same when it comes to that. And again, needing to be able to transition into those different platforms is really important. Because if you're only relying on Zoom and somebody can't do a Zoom for whatever reason, you're going to lose a sale. You're going to miss that opportunity. My script is the same as when I book it in person. It's concise. So my name is Linda. I'm giving you a ring back with the Mortgage Protection Center. I'm the field underwriter handling the mortgage protection request you sent in. You need to verify your date of birth. Looks like 2/25/76. Perfect. So as a local field underwriter, my job is simple. I just need to schedule about 15 minutes to come by and see what you qualify for. Right now, they've got me out this day and this day, right? So very simple. When I go virtual, it's no different. So for me now, I don't offer in person anymore. But when you're doing the hybrid model, which is what you want to do in the beginning, you're going to offer, an option. You're going to say the same script, but you're going to say instead, I need to take 15 minutes to see what you qualify for. I can give you either a Zoom or a FaceTime call. What do you prefer? So that's the only difference, is that I'm offering that virtual platform, right? Most people you're going to find when you give them a chance, they're going to want to go virtual. So again, be careful about that. In the beginning, you might need to do 75% in person, 25% virtual, right? So your schedule might be, on a Monday, I want to book my Tuesday virtual, and then I want to book Wednesday in person. You don't want to book more than 24 to 48 hours out on virtual, 24 hours ideally. Sometimes you can do same day. So the sooner the better with virtual. Having said that, the no-show expectation, and for me, I don't really get a lot of no-shows. And for me, that has to do with how I tie them down and what my posture is when I'm booking that appointment. Okay. So when I book appointments, I'm textiling and I'm just texting my simple script as I just went through it with you. I'm sending a picture of the lead, whether it be mortgage protection, final expense, instant internet. You can adjust the script accordingly. You're just changing, who you're calling with. Maybe you're with the benefit center if it's final expense, or maybe you're with the, benefit center if it's instant internet. You can play with that. So, don't get tripped up on the exact script. It's again, simple, concise. I don't ask medical questions. I just want to get in front of them. It is no different. Okay. My posture is, I am busy, guys. Look, given that everything has gone to a virtual platform, given the pandemic and so many people that they're afraid to have us out there in person. And so we're just so blessed that we can offer this to you virtually. I have to see about 15 to 20 people every single day we have so many requests coming in. Is there any reason, guys, that you wouldn't be able to keep that appointment with me tomorrow at 1:00? So again, you're setting this expectation that you don't have time for them to reschedule, right? You don't have time for them to cancel. You're tying them down just in, now it's for the virtual platform. Before, you might say something like, yeah, I'm really busy. I'm in the area. I've got about 15 families I need to see. Is there any reason you wouldn't be home? Same thing here, but now this platform, the COVID situation, has made it even easier for us to explain to people that we are inundated with requests. People are fearful. People know they need this coverage. They're afraid to have people come out still. This is still the reality. And for those people that think final expense isn't going to work or a final expense lead is not going to work on this platform, I think you're really missing an opportunity, because so many seniors, they are afraid to have people come knock at their door. I'm not saying don't continue to door knock if it's working for you, but don't assume that somebody won't, be responsive to you calling them and offering this virtual platform. They know they need the coverage. They're afraid, right? Their own mortality is in front of them. So just don't make an assumption that that is the only way to do it with a certain lead type, right? So I would just say keep playing with it. And with that, we need to make sure that you're documenting your numbers, right? So maybe I only need to do 8 appointments a week. This last year, I'm doing 30,000 a month. And maybe for me, that's 8 appointments a week. Very part-time, again, based on my situation and what was going on in my world. I don't recommend that everybody do that. For you in the beginning, the more appointments, the better. So if you set yourself up with 20 or 30 appointments a week, you're going to have success, whether you're in person or on a Zoom. I don't necessarily feel like you have to book twice as many appointments on Zoom. I would say maybe you book 30% more. But again, we can't recommend anything to you until we know what your numbers are, right? If one agent has, 80% no-show and the other agent has 20% no-show, right? Our numbers are going to be different. We're going to have to guide you to maybe running additional appointments, right? Or you can back off here, or we can perfect your script here, or we can change this tie down, right? We can change the process a little bit. But if you're not tracking your numbers, we can't help you to figure out where your numbers are going to sit. So again, I can't express enough, the hybrid model is going to be great because you're going to continue to do what you do in the field, right? What you're doing that's bringing in the income, that's having success, but you're going to add in the virtual side and see how it goes for you. If you start to have success and you start to see, what I was seeing, that there's really no different in the sales I don't close over virtual than the ones I would close in person, I'm not seeing any difference. My persistency has actually increased over this last year and a half of doing virtual sales. So, again, just mindset is everything, right? It's every part of our business, whether it's virtual or in home. So the more success stories you hear like this, the more you're going to realize, okay, this is something I can do. My goal, again, is to just simplify all of this. Okay, I don't want to train my agents to get out and reinvent every single thing they're doing, during the process, because we don't have to do that. We simply need to make a few adjustments, basically in what we say when we book that appointment, and a few tweaks to what we do in that in-home process. And we will be following up with, different segments, coming forward so that you can really dig deep into the different parts of what we're going to be doing here. And the last thing I want to talk about is just your preparation for this, right? Again, being prepared for using multiple platforms. You are what they are buying, not the different things that you're putting up on the screen. So I want to be really clear about that. Don't get tripped up on using, only Zoom and having to have, a whole PowerPoint necessarily, because you can have success without that. The other thing is making sure these are simple things. You have good instant, internet connection, right? If you're doing a mix one day where you've got 3 in-person appointments and 3 Zoom appointments, you just need to make sure you're in a place, whether it's in your car or in a quiet cafe, where the person is going to feel that you're one-on-one with them. You don't want to be somewhere where it's very noisy, where they feel like somebody else could be listening in on the conversation. You want to create that feeling of privacy as well, just like you would if you were in their home. So making sure that you're either, having a backdrop that you can see that's very professional. We want to be careful. Sometimes they look a little bit cheesy. So you want it to look professional. If you can't figure out a backdrop, let's say you're doing a FaceTime appointment instead, you can simply have the back of your seat. You could be sitting in your car with a black seat behind you and park in a quiet part of the parking lot and make sure your internet connection is stable, things like that we don't think about. Because the more professional you come across, the more control you're going to have, and the more you're going to be able to help people because they will trust you. It's the little things like looking disheveled, not having proper attire on, not having a good background, having too much noise in the background that's going to turn people off. And then you don't set yourself apart as an expert. And that's when we start to see, the issues. Okay. The last thing I'd like to say about just virtual sales in general, for me personally, is I think we all need to remember that when people jump on these sales, they're looking for a quicker process, right? They didn't want you in their home. That was too invasive for them, maybe. So they're looking for somebody to take them quickly through a process, but one that still builds value for them and helps them to, create their why and make sure that we're filling the need that they have. So the connection you're going to make with them early on is critical. And so personally, I like to make it all about the client. Okay, I want to do everything I can to engage the client and to get to know them. And I don't like to do this kind of one-size-fits-all presentation in the sense of I'm going to intro who I am every time, because to be quite honest, I don't think people care. That's my honest opinion. I've been doing this for 10 years. I went from doing my normal spiel where I would give all of my attention to their situation to interjecting things that would happen in my life. Like when I lost my sister, I would talk about her murder and how important this was. And what I found, I had to stop doing it because what I found was people, it was almost like they couldn't receive the information. And it didn't help. If anything, I had more chargebacks because people were moved because maybe they felt guilty or they felt bad. So again, this idea that people care about us and what we have going on, 9 out of 10 times, I don't think they do. So for me, especially on virtual, I go out of my way to make sure that I am zeroed in on them, their needs, what is important to them. And I very, very rarely bring up anything about myself, okay, personally. So I'm going to go ahead and end this clip on that note. There is more to come. Again, I'm super excited to be able to head this off for national, and I'm excited to see you here in the segments to come.